All my everyday viewers, stick around through the end of this video. I'm going to address the Bob Huggins video from yesterday and the response to it. I also need to make a correction on something I got completely wrong with the video involving Zach Whitecloud. All right. When I was in high school, early 2000s, young men, we were constantly told no means no. Do not pressure girls into having sex. If you identify as the G in LGBT, do not pressure feminine boys into having sex. No means no. They used to describe all the different ways that you could be guilty of assaulting a young woman. The narrative, it was centered around protecting young women, and rightfully so. But by the time I got into college, that narrative had completely shifted. There had been so many instances of false accusations against young men, ruining the lives and reputations of young men, the biggest one being the Duke lacrosse scandal. But by the time I got into college, they were teaching us young men how to protect ourselves, how to avoid situations where you could be falsely accused of sexual assault. This same scenario is what Matt Araiza found himself in last summer. While he was at San Diego State, he attended a party with some of his teammates. Matt Araiza and two of his teammates, they were eventually accused of assaulting an underage girl. During the investigation, Matt Araiza, he admitted to having consensual sex with the young woman. He didn't know she was underage. Well, KC, that's no excuse. Matt Araiza should have known better. No, that's bullshit. I get so tired of all the blame being placed on young men in these situations. At some point, the women, they had to be held accountable too. Matt Araiza thought this girl was 18 years old because she was telling him and everyone else at the party she was 18 years old. She was bragging to people at the party about having sex with him. Ooh, girl, his third leg is just as strong as his kicking leg. Matter of fact, according to witnesses, she was practically begging to get laid at this party. She didn't want the cucumber, she wanted the real deal, the big stiffy, or in some cases, the small to medium-sized stiffy. Long story short, Matt Araiza and two of his teammates, they are accused of assaulting this young woman. The allegations were made public August of last year. Now, the Buffalo Bills, they knew about these allegations 4 weeks before they were released to the public. Matt Araiza told them when the allegations were brought to the Bills, he told them he was innocent. He was upfront and honest with the Bills about the situation. Buffalo Bills said, okay, we will let the legal process do its thing. You focus on punting the ball 80 yards. Be the punt god we know you can be. Fast forward 4 weeks later, 24 hours after these allegations are made public, the Buffalo Bills release Matt Araiza. Arguably, the best punter in his draft class, who has the potential to be the best punter in the NFL, he can't find a job in the league. There's not one team in the NFL willing to touch him. Now, why did the Bills release Matt Araiza? Was there new information released? Did they think he was lying to him? Did they not believe his story? No, no, and no. He was released because the Bills could not handle the media pressure. See, here's the thing. Matt Araiza plays a position that's not viewed as being critical, important. If these same allegations were made against Josh Allen, you think the Bills are releasing him? Hell, it doesn't even have to be the quarterback. If these same allegations were against any of the 22 starters in Buffalo, the key players, you think the Bills are releasing any of them? No. They're going to stand by them because they're important to winning. Kind of like West Virginia is standing by Bob Huggins. Legendary coaches, they are hard to replace. Starting quarterbacks, elite cornerbacks, receivers, tight ends, those guys are hard to replace. Punters are viewed as being a dime a dozen. What happened to Matt Araiza was absolutely horrific. It's bullshit. This kid's life was ruined. He missed his entire rookie season in the NFL because the media crucified him and the Bills refused to stand beside him. Hell, the Bills, last summer, they were being accused by the media of protecting Matt Araiza because they waited 24 hours to release him after the allegations were made public. The media called it a delayed release. How dare you not assume this kid is guilty before he is proven innocent? To hell with how the media treated him. That's to be expected at this point. The media is filled with people looking for a come-up by destroying someone else's life. But I wish the Buffalo Bills would have had the balls to stand by this kid. When they released him, it reinforced the perception that Matt Araiza could be guilty of this. At a time when this kid needed you the most, he's telling you he's innocent. At a time when he needs your support, the Buffalo Bills fold to media pressure. As it turns out, Matt Araiza, he was not even at this party when the alleged assault took place. Investigators had 35 witnesses refute the claims made by this accuser. 35 witnesses! You cannot get 35 people to agree that temperatures warming up during the summer is not a sign of global warming. Investigators have poked so many holes in this young woman's story, she is sinking faster than the Titanic known as CNN. I know it's easy for me, it's easy for all of us to sit here 8 months later and try to hold the Buffalo Bills to a higher standard and say they should have stuck by Matt Araiza. I get it. I know they were in a tough spot. I get it. The kid's a punter. NFL teams, they want to eliminate any and all distractions. You don't want Matt Araiza to be a distraction throughout the season when you have a Super Bowl caliber roster. I get all that. But this story, it's really about status and the power of the mainstream media. If you have high value, if you're critical to a team's success, organizations, they're more willing to stand beside you. If you're viewed as being replaceable, you're shit out of luck. This is true in sports. It's also true in life. The mainstream media ruined this kid's life. Do you even know the names of the other two young players who were accused? If you look up media headlines from August of last year, the only name mentioned in the headlines is Matt Araiza. This dude was completely innocent, yet he suffered the consequences of having his reputation ruined along with his rookie season in the NFL. Who knows? His NFL career could be over before it even gets started. I hope that's not the case. I don't think that will be the case, but we don't know at this point. My thing is, where are the consequences for the young woman that falsely accused him? For whatever reason, she decided to make up these allegations against Matt Araiza. Attorneys for Matt Araiza, they're calling it a cash grab. Maybe she woke up the next morning sobered up, feeling guilty about having a one-night stand. I don't know. But how come she's not being held accountable, at least yet? How come she's not being held accountable for destroying this young man's life? Fortunately for West Virginia head coach Bob Huggins, he was given far more leeway than the Bills gave Matt Araiza. First things first, I need to correct a mistake that I made yesterday. When talking about the situation with Zach Whitecloud, I referenced a report from Sports Illustrated that claimed he was crying, claimed he was overly emotional when responding to questions about John Anderson making a joke about his last name. Yesterday, I said that I found that hard to believe, that it wouldn't surprise me if Sports Illustrated was exaggerating here. At the time, I could not find video of this encounter, this press conference. There were a lot of people on Twitter yesterday afternoon asking for video proof. They didn't believe it either. Several hours after my video was uploaded, the video of Zach Whitecloud was released. Sports Illustrated was right. He was emotional. I don't understand why. I thought the joke was pretty harmless, but that's not the point. I got it wrong, so I just wanted to correct that mistake. One of my viewers named John from Canada, he sent me the video late last night. I appreciate that, but moving on. I can make another video based on the responses I received from my thoughts on Bob Huggins yesterday. Some of you disagreed with my assessment with Bob Huggins, which is completely fine. We're not always going to agree. I am always open to disagreement. It's how we learn. It's how I grow. Some of you even made some excellent points as to why Bob Huggins should not be fired. Points that I actually agreed with. When I made that video yesterday, I was coming from the perspective of West Virginia. I was not offended by what Bob Huggins said. Like I said yesterday, that word was common vernacular when I was growing up. But it wasn't about what Bob Huggins said. The media, they want us to focus on the language. And I should have been clear about this yesterday. It wasn't about the slur. It was about the lack of judgment, the lack of awareness. We talk a lot about common sense here on the channel. As the head coach of a major university, Bob Huggins, he is expected to have common sense. Some of you claim that I was going soft or even worse, going woke because I didn't defend Bob Huggins. I thought West Virginia was in a tough spot and would have to fire him. How was I supposed to defend what he did? I don't have anything against Bob Huggins. If he had that same conversation in a bar and it was leaked to the media, I would have defended him. If Bob Huggins were caught on a hot mic or some private recording, I would have defended him. There's an expectation of privacy in that scenario, but that wasn't the case here. He went and did this on live radio, which is a lapse in judgment. When you hold certain positions, especially positions of leadership or positions with high visibility, you have a higher level of responsibility. There are higher expectations placed on you. Whether you think it's fair or not really doesn't matter. It's just the reality of it. Last fall, Anthony Edwards of the Minnesota Timberwolves, he was fined $40,000 for using a slur. It's being reported that Bob Huggins will be suspended and forfeit $1 million of his salary for doing the same thing, which is great. If this report from Sports Illustrated is accurate, I am glad Bob Huggins is not being fired. Like I said yesterday, I don't like seeing anyone lose their job over words, over speech. This is one of those situations where, hopefully, I'm glad I was wrong. I didn't think West Virginia would stand by him. I'm glad they are. They should be commended for doing so. It takes a lot of courage, especially in this sensitive climate we're living in today. It takes a lot of courage to take a stand. Most woke U college campuses refuse to do so. I have a lot of respect for the leadership at West Virginia for standing by Bob Huggins. Now, why was Bob Huggins' punishment significantly greater than Anthony Edwards? Because Bob Huggins is in a position of authority. There are higher expectations. On the flip side of that coin, because Bob Huggins holds a higher position, he's also being given more leeway. He was given far more leeway than Matt Araiza was given by the Bills. Yesterday, there were some debates going on in the comment section about freedom of speech. Bob Huggins has the right to say whatever he wants. How can you not defend his right to free speech? You're right. Bob Huggins has the right to say whatever he wants. He has the right to free speech, but free speech also comes with responsibility. The First Amendment protects your right to speak freely from being taken away by the government. It doesn't absolve you from the consequences of your actions. You have the right to speak freely. Your company has the right to terminate your employment for doing so. I saw several of you guys yesterday asking the question, when did society become so sensitive, so soft? I don't think society is sensitive. I don't think I know us normal people are not sensitive. I'm not sure the vast majority of people were really offended by what Bob Huggins said. Sensitivity, this is a narrative being driven by the mainstream media. I think this all started with Donald Trump. The media used the angle of sensitivity to demonize Donald Trump. They tried to silence him because he used the power of his voice, his willingness to say whatever was on his mind, whether it was offensive or not. He used that power to relate to people and get elected. One of the main reasons Donald Trump was elected, he was willing to say what most people were thinking but were afraid to say out loud. The media, they demonized him for it, and it worked. Once they saw that it worked, they began using that same tactic against us, you and me. But give me your thoughts. Matt Araiza has his life, reputation temporarily ruined by the media. Do you think the Bills should have stood beside him? Did they make the situation worse by releasing him last summer? Bills were in a tough spot, but I don't know, it's one of those sticky situations. You let me know what you think. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, kc_btl84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys later.